I was looking at those images of Field Marshal Munir's
Failed Marshal Munir.
Field Marshal. There is either an elevation.
Of course, the Christmas tree generals.
The Christmas tree generals with their medals for wars they've.
Also, the astute observation is
Atankwad may be parivarwad.
absolutely.
It's
So
like
it
Hafiz
is
Saeed's son is in.
completely keeping it close. सिर्फ एक ही उल्लू काफी है बर्बाद गुलिस्तान करने को.
Super Ullu who has promoted him.
जो इंसान उस गद्दी पे कल तक नशीन था उसको.
The God complex at all Pakistan.
Now, when you look at the soap opera all over the place, now also the astute observation is when you look at this entire story.
Hello and welcome back to Chakra News, our series of podcasts. We're tracking India-Pakistan tensions and the world after Operation Sindoor and beyond. Joined by my friend, my colleague, Colonel Anurag Awasthhi. He's going to throw some light on what we've been seeing over the last couple of days and what lies ahead. Welcome back, Colonel Awasthhi.
Thank you, Sandeep. Let's look at Field Marshal Munir.
We've been looking at stuff that's going on in Pakistan. I mean, Pakistan is predictable in its unpredictability.
Oh, yes.
And I was looking at those images of Field Marshal Munir's coronation.
Failed Marshal Munir.
Field Marshal, right? There you go. Failed Marshal. I mean, the jokes will never end with that. We were talking a couple of days back, me and a friend, and we said that if you look at history, Pakistan, after every crisis, there is either an elevation of the military or a change of guard.
Of course, the Christmas tree generals.
The Christmas tree generals with their medals for wars they've never won, not since 1947. But Munir anoints himself Field Marshal. He has this sham ceremony, and you notice the thing about that ceremony, that picture that was the poster that was presented to him.
Oh, that's a PHL-3 actually. It's a Chinese multiple rocket barrel system.
A Chinese rocket system which they tried to pass off as Pakistani. But it was actually a Chinese photograph.
Yes, it is. It is.
A Chinese photograph which they tried to pass off as a Pakistan military operation. What do they call it? Bunyad Mursus.
Al-Mansur.
Marsus. Bunyad Marsus. And they took a poster of a Chinese military drill and they passed it off as one of theirs.
Oh, yes. That's actually a Chinese equivalent of a BM-30 Smirch.
Right.
It's more or less like that 300 mm. It's got a great range and all of that.
Which they have in their service, but the point is they don't even have original photography. I mean, this is bizarre.
No, the worst part is they don't even have it in the Pakistan Army inventory.
It's not in the Pakistan military.
No.
I thought they did, right?
No,
they don't. Oh, okay. Oh, that's a revelation. But looking at that ceremony, that very bizarre ceremony, and it's Asim Munir in the center of things.
Yes, absolutely.
And this strikes you as being the field marshal versus the captain, right? There is that tension between the two of them.
Of course.
Yeah. But looking at the crystal ball now, we have to look ahead, right? Operation Sindoor is still ongoing, right? It's they've just paused the operation. It is going to be literally the default setting for India to handle terrorism coming out of Pakistan. Where do you see the Pakistan military now? What's Munir's next moves going to be? Field Marshal Munir's next moves.
Okay, Sandeep, let me, come back to the country as in Pakistan. Yeah. The country is a soap opera. It's a soap opera.
It used to be Pakistani soap operas were very popular when we were in school.
Yes. They still are. Actually, they are trying to, peddle a particular narrative. Thank God we didn't fall for it.
Right.
At most of the times.
What narrative was this?
All that narrative that, they're a great society and all of that. Now just look at this.
Right.
You have Nawaz Sharif.
Yes.
His brother is Shehbaz Sharif.
Yes.
His daughter is in the parliament. The younger daughter is married to Ishaq Dar's son.
Right.
Ishaq Dar was a chartered accountant turned finance minister,
Yeah.
turned foreign minister.
Right.
And who got into this concept of Daronomics, which has failed totally. So
Right.
there's the 24th dole, which is coming from the IMF.
Yeah.
Then you have Hina Rabbani Khar. She is the niece of Ghulam Mustafa, who's been the chief minister of Punjab for the maximum amount of time.
Right.
He has 8 wives. Out of them, one was a celebrated author. You know whom I'm talking about? The Durrani lady. She is now the first lady of Pakistan. She's now married to Shehbaz Sharif. Then you have Asif Zardari.
Temina Durrani,
the
my
Temina
feudal
Durrani,
lord.
yes, my
the author
feudal
of
lord.
My feudal lord.
So that's why I said Miss Durrani.
Right.
So then you have Asif Zardari, who's the widower of Benazir Bhutto.
Yeah.
His son is also in politics.
Right.
Now you just look at this. Is this not soap opera? Now, when you look at the soap opera
Yeah.
all over the place, now also, the astute observation is when you look at this entire story, have you realized that none of the chief martial law administrators or the military rulers of Pakistan or their progenies inside politics? Nil.
None of the military general.
Nil.
Well, Zia's son was in politics. I'm
For
not
a
sure if
while.
he's still there. Is he
For a
still
while,
there?
no,
Or
it's
he's,
not
he's
there.
out.
So what has happened is this entire civil society,
Yeah.
which is supposed to be the edifice on which a country has to function, is absolutely fractured.
Right.
Now, while it is fractured, that entire space which has been created by this civil society, or the void created by the this entire concept
Right.
that everything is internalized.
Yeah.
That space has been taken by Pakistan Army since 1947.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
Absolutely.
So the power still remains with Pakistani Army.
Yeah.
And the faces change.
Right.
So willy-nilly, there are countries who have armies,
Yeah.
and then there's an army which has a country.
Right. And armies like Pakistan have non-state actors. And I must tell you this very interesting fact that we discovered when Operation Sindoor's first phase began, when we hit those terror camps. And they were talking about the families of these terrorists that had been hit, right?
Oh,
very
yes.
interestingly.
Yes.
And I said, I was telling some friends in the media that we talk about dynastic politics in Indian politics. I said in Pakistan, the terrorists are also into this whole game. It's a Atankwad may be Parivarwad.
Absolutely.
It's
So
like
it
Hafiz
is-
Saeed's son is he's a terrorist, running the organization.
Oh yes, of course.
And
Oh,
his
yes.
family is also involved. So it's all actually about power, and it's about money. It's about influence, a whole lot of things, right? It's not so much about ideology. Ideology and, the so-called jihad and all that is just a thing of empire building.
Oh,
it's
yes,
just
of
a tool
course.
of building empires and then
Completely.
running it,
Completely.
keeping it within the family.
Completely keeping it close.
Yeah.
It's absolutely close.
Right.
So as they say, in their language, or in Urdu, they say that सिर्फ एक ही उल्लू काफी है बर्बाद गुलिस्तान करने को
Gulistan Kal.
हर शाख पे उल्लू बैठा है अंजाम गुलिस्तान क्या होगा
Yeah. Anjam Pakistan ka kya hoga with this super ullu who has promoted himself to Field Marshal Munir? What is Munir going to do next? What's his target going to be? Is it going to be Balochistan? Is it going to be Afghanistan? Is it going to be India? Is it going to be all of these? Can he actually do it with the kind of Pakistan that he's running today?
See, I take you back to the most erudite policy maker in this country called Chanakya or Kautilya,
Right.
and he says
This country, which country?
our country,
Right, of course. Pakistan wasn't around.
No, the Pakistan as it is will be decimated very soon. Anybody who's born will die.
You're right.
India is eternal.
Yes.
So he has said very clearly in Arthashastra that always be wary of your enemy,
Right.
but always be doubly wary of a delusional enemy. Now, when you look at this, it makes so much of sense. Now, look at Asim Munir. He has promoted himself to be, whatever, and
He's crowned himself Field
crowned
Marshal.
himself king.
Right.
Now, in this entire quagmire that we just spoke, you see the only outlier was the playboy cricketer whom I refer to as a certain Mr. Niazi 2.0, who's sitting
Imran
in
Khan
jail.
Niazi.
Who's sitting in jail.
Right.
Now, whether it is Imran Khan Niazi or Bushra Bibi or whatever
Yes,
it is, we're
his
not
wife.
going into too much of details.
Right.
But he had the guts to remove Asim Munir from the billet of DGISI in 9 months.
Yes.
This did not apparently go well with the Pakistani army establishment.
And it certainly didn't go down well with Munir.
Munir, of course. So, you know what all happened thereafter. So, it starts from there. So, if this is the starting point, and then you have a fractured polity, which is already inbreeding, and we've just spoken about as to how everybody's
Right.
connected, and then there's space all over the place. The only thing is that since all these people are essentially trained and educated in Western elite universities, so what they do is their relevance and their focus on information warfare is very, very strong.
Right.
So all the while they are trying to somehow change this narrative of defeat into victory, which
Right.
somehow we need to counter it.
Right.
Now look at Munir today. Munir has crowned himself the Failed Marshal. Fine. So willy-nilly, there is no Chief of the Army Staff. So he functions as Chief of the Army Staff de
Right.
facto.
Right.
He functions as Chief of the Army Staff de facto for whatever time. It's not specified.
So it's so they're talking about his vice chief going to be promoted to full general.
Let us see how
right.
it happens. But as of now, there seems to be nothing on the horizon.
Do you think any of his core commanders will kind of revolt? Because this is something kind of the way to get become army chief becomes perpetual. If you have someone who's always there, where is the prospects of promotion for the lower ranks? The very ambitious core commander.
It's going to be very difficult, Sandeep. See, he has, as it is, he got promoted as Chief of Army Staff. And he was overlooked by Imran Khan in power. And you know what all happened. Thereafter, just 3 days before his superannuation, he became the Chief of Army Staff. Now, his entire story was flagging. His tenure was getting over. The Pakistan army is not doing well insofar as, the optics with the civil population.
The civilians have turned on them.
They've turned on
Imran Khan is super popular.
There you go. He's turned on them. Now, what happens is that he now needed to do something very, dramatic, which he has done.
Right.
And now, true to his nature and true to the Pakistani establishment, he has crowned himself for whatever he's done.
Right.
Now, he's got 4-5 things which we need to look at. One is the hug between the scorpion and the dragon.
Scorpion being Pakistan.
Of course. So that scorpion, which essentially feeds on the prey by a venom given by somebody else. The scorpion is the mason.
Right.
The architect is somewhere else. That we need to understand now, whether it is the dragon or whichever way you look at it.
Yeah.
But the execution part will be done by Munir. However, the bigger picture will be decided by somebody else. This is my personal view.
You mean there's a puppeteer behind Munir?
Oh yes, there's a puppeteer behind him. That's one. Now, let's look at the entire construct of Pakistan. There's a problem in the KPK area.
Yeah.
There are 2 corps which are deployed northwards towards Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So basically that denudes your entire combat potential insofar as...
How many divisions here? 12?
More than that, but then 2 corps, when you're looking at, you're at least looking at least 4 divisions or 5 divisions which are now looking towards Afghanistan.
CIOps, yeah.
So then you are also now looking at what's happening in Baluchistan every day. You see the Baluch Liberation Army freedom fighters, which what they are doing, which they are supposed to be doing. They should have done it a long time ago. That is a cause of concern, and you see how Pakistani army is getting on the back foot. Now, whether he gets into a crackdown on them or doesn't get into a crackdown on them, that also is a double-edged sword. Lately, you've seen there's a Sindh uprising, which, in fact, day before yesterday, I mean, there was an article in the media in which, there was an entire delegation of Pakistan along with a lot of Western countries. They were stopped by locals inside Sindh. Because of water.
Yeah, water is an issue.
Water is a very major issue. Sindh, if you look at it, it's finally the desert insofar as the southern part is concerned.
Cholistan
desert. Yeah. And then you are looking at Punjab.
Right.
Now, while you only look at Punjab, then you look at the KPK, then you look at the Baluchistan part, and then you look at, Sindh, where there is going to be an uprising.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have China, which has got, various, issues with Pakistan now. There are Chinese who are dying there.
Yes.
As part of CPEC. So, in all this, can he sustain? Can he look at a strategy which only aims at India and that famous jugular vein? And, there's this bizarre statement, this gentleman, this nuclear sanctioned scientist's son, also made some 2 days back. The DGISPR.
Right.
This Sharif Chaudhry.
Yes.
And he's saying that if India chokes us, we will choke them. Oh, I mean, what are you talking?
Right.
I mean,
And that was in Urdu, right? And
Yeah.
he said, "तुम हमारे पानी रोक दोगे, हम
हाँ.
तुम्हारे सांस रोक
हम
देंगे."
सांस रोक देंगे and all
Right.
that. I mean,
Very interesting. That was something that the Lashkar-e-Taiba used to say a couple of years back.
Yeah,
I think a
so-
Hafiz Said's speech or something like that.
so
So no
what are they
distinction
becoming?
between the army and the
Nothing.
non-state actors.
Nil. They are all
Yeah.
state actors across
They're all
the board.
state actors. All
All state actors.
So how there is no distinction between the state and the non-state in
Nil.
Pakistan anymore. But interesting. I want to take you to this tour that the Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif is 4-nation tour, May 25th to the 30th, with Field Marshal Munir. Highly unusual for an army chief to accompany the Prime Minister.
I think it flouts all norms of protocol. I have never seen anywhere in the world that there's a head of state
Yes.
going along with the
Head of the
field
army.
marshal or the head of the army or
Right.
whichever way. It's very bizarre.
It's bizarre, isn't it? And so they've stopped at Turkey. They're going to Azerbaijan, of course, Tajikistan and Iran. Thanking these countries for their support during this the standoff with India, where they got a absolute walloping, unprecedented series of strikes by the Indian Air Force. But what about that Beijing visit? Why did they not visit China? And you see that happening at some point? Field Marshal Munir in Beijing.
I have a feeling that will happen pretty soon.
Right.
You see, my only fear, Sandeep, is that in the present circumstance, it shouldn't happen that Beijing uses Pakistan,
Right.
Munir as the
Yeah.
trigger finger.
Right.
So that is the only issue that I have now. Insofar as all this is also concerned, there are a couple of other things. We've spoken about Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, we've spoken about Balochistan, we've spoken about Sindh, we have spoken about what's happening internally, their economy. I mean, you are now you're trying to intimidate the fourth largest economy in the world.
Yes. So we just crossed
We just
Japan.
crossed it,
Yes.
right? I mean, does it make any sense? It doesn't. Now, in this entire picture, with so many fronts open, now the question which remains is, how does Munir take this forward as the Field Marshal? I think he will get back into the tactical nuclear weapons and modernize his nuclear arsenal
Right.
in some manner or the other to make it a little more localized. B, he will keep using the terrorists and the all non-state actors to foster trouble in India.
Right.
C, he will create a rhetoric internationally by information warfare or
Right.
otherwise to show that they are being troubled insofar as terrorism is concerned,
Yeah.
and India is in some manner or the other, India is intimidating them because of its size, weight, economic stature, and all of that, which they've been doing all along.
All of these assessments, I think what you mentioned is also what the United States believes. The DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, has also said pretty much the same thing, that they believe that Pakistan is going to enhance their focus on tactical nuclear weapons, which they've always done, especially after Cold Start. But we haven't seen any signaling from Pakistan, especially, say, Khalid Kidwai or the SPD. There's no signaling of the nuclear kind to suggest that, their red lines, they're going to add some more red lines to their already famous 4, the quartet. Probably a fifth
The
and a
fifth
sixth
one,
one. But you see that coming at some point, or will they just quietly go on building up their nuclear? Because they've got a scare, right? They have a nuclear
They have
scare
got a
during Operation
Yes.
Sindoor, whichever
Yes.
way you look at
Whichever
it.
way, yeah.
Yeah.
But see, the scare part is good.
Right.
But the problem at hand is there's so many fronts open.
Right.
Can you handle that?
Multiple fronts.
Multiple.
Every direction on the compass seems to be a front for
Is a front.
Pakistan.
So you look at KPK or you look at that entire area, then there is Taliban.
Yes.
Then a lot of people say that, he's visiting along with the head of state to Turkey or
Tajikistan.
Azerbaijan and Tajikistan and Iran. Do you really think that relations between Iran and Pakistan can be very, very solid?
They
at
just
some stage in
exchanged
time?
missiles and drones
So
last
there
year.
you go.
Right.
So is that a peacenik visit?
Yeah.
Is that a visit for, mending fences?
Yeah.
Or is it a visit for, getting support for the Baloch, cause?
Yeah.
One doesn't know.
So I mean, this is very interesting, and like I just said, that every point of the compass is a problem area for Pakistan, whichever way you look at it. Except maybe north, which is where China is. Northwest, you have a problem with the Taliban and their proxies, the Tehreek-e-Taliban.
Yes.
Not strictly Taliban proxies, but they have a problem with both of those. And of course, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. You go down to their east, they have a problem. West, they have a problem with Iran. You go to the southwest and the south, you have Balochistan. And of course, to their east, you have India, which they've riled with that massacre in Pahalgam. And so it's trouble in all directions, and they still believe they have a fighting chance.
Delusional enemy.
Delusional, completely.
Absolutely delusional.
Firewoodistan, and I wrote that piece a couple of years back about when Munir took over, about the sparks in, Firewoodistan, and the fact that how...
The Walter Mitty syndrome.
The Walter Mitty, of course, where Asim Munir is the extraordinary Walter Mitty who leads this fascinating double life, which was translated into
the Hindi, that Mungeri Lal
ke Haseen Sapne. So that is it. So you have the Walter Mitty of Pakistan, the Failed Marshal, as Colonel Awasthi calls him, who's in the center of things and trying to run Pakistan through proxy. And he's possibly the fifth dictator, right, of Pakistan without being a dictator.
That is the acme of skill which he has shown, that he has not taken over a government in a legitimate coup, while he still hangs around in the corner and wields the entire power.
Right. So
that is the only difference.
The soft coup which he's using to run Pakistan with. And you see this, his luck running out at some point. Luck is strictly, it is in inverted quotes, given the fact that you have to be out of Pakistan to be lucky, really. Not in it and not in the center of things like Asim Munir is.
If luck could run out for Pervez Musharraf, Sandeep,
right,
luck will run out for Field Marshal Munir.
Right. I think I'll leave it at that. Luck running out for the Field Marshal Asim Munir, as he tries to handle all of Pakistan's problems and all of these multiple fronts that he's opened up, including this massive front against India, which actually really didn't want anything to do with Pakistan, we just wanted to be left on our own and handle our economy and benefit our people. But Field Marshal Asim Munir has chosen a path of confrontation with India, and he hopes that all of his old friends and allies like China and Turkey will come to his rescue. But we'll be watching that story very carefully, as they say, picture abhi baki hai.
And as an old boss of mine always mentioned, and I believe, जो इंसान उस गद्दी पे कल तक नशीन था, उसको भी अपने खुदा होने का यकीन था.
Rapidly translated, that would mean that the person who sat on the throne of power once believed that he was immortal and he was God. And that is actually the God complex that all Pakistan's most dictators are born with, and that is what forces them to take over power and stay in power and retain it for as long as. So Pakistan, a country that's predictable only in its unpredictability, and Field Marshal Munir is a man in the muddle of entirely of his creation, and that's a problem for us, which is why we're spending so much time tracking him over the last couple of weeks. But thank you very much for joining us again on Chakra News, and we'll keep you posted on developments across the border and beyond. Thanks for watching.